Welcome back. Let's bring in Mr. Dayak to be with our guest analyst. Welcome to the program. Thank God it's your Monday. Let me put it that way.
It's a striped Monday.
Yeah, I just woke up. I pulled up there. I've worn the jacket for God knows how long.
You're discriminating against Bukola.
She's in tandem. She's here to compliment. You came with the flying colors. All right, so let's get to the papers. This Nigeria is where we start off from. And it leads with something that has to do with our children in secondary school. 50,000 WAEC NECO fees may worsen out of school crisis. We understand that it was increased from 27,000, I think, and 30,000, depending on which you look at. So 50. People are already complaining of the other. What do you make of this, Mr. Akintobi?
No, this is the wrong time to do that. I mean, it's a bit insensitive at a time when the economy is in dire straits to be giving additional burden to parents. I wait for a time when things like even WAEC and JAMB will be free. I don't even understand why they have to pay for it to begin with, if it is a rite of passage to be able to advance educationally, and government is pretty much taking responsibility for education. I mean, WAEC, JAMB, all those things, they are not for private institutions. They are public rites of passage, and even if you have an administrative fee, it should be minimal. Not at a time like this. We now almost double from 27,000 to 50,000, and you ask yourself, then what is the purpose of the taxes that we pay? We're supposed to be able to get social services from government in exchange for this social contract of paying taxes. So the parents who will be paying this 50,000 naira for their children to take an exam, to be able to advance probably to a public university, will be asking themselves, so what's the use of my taxes? What are some of the benefits I get for the taxes I pay to the government? And even if something like this were going to be done, it shouldn't be at a time when parents are struggling to make ends meet, where we're still trying to adjust to the fact that the money in our pocket is buying less nowadays. So either way you look at it, it is a concern, because some parents won't be able to afford it, and therefore their children will not sit the exam, which means further education either gets delayed or gets truncated completely. Either way, I think there should have been a better way to go about looking for the funding for the administrative and logistic purposes of the exam than putting the burden on the parents of the children.
Mr. Akintobi, well, we apologize. We couldn't show our viewers this Nigeria newspaper. We're working on it, and you'll see it very shortly. But let's move to the Vanguard newspaper this morning, which leads with the rescue of the Oriire children. It leads with that. It says, Oriire abduction, how arrest of kidnappers' family members led to rescue of victims. How arrest of kidnappers' family members led to rescue of victims. That's part of the strategy we hear led to this success. We also hear that the network in that region was cut down, I think reduced to about maybe 2G or thereabout. Logistics, there was also that cut off of supply, to those kidnappers there. But it shows one thing, that if the army and the security agencies are ready to do their job, they have the capacity to do it.
Well, without a doubt, I didn't doubt for a second in my mind throughout the 56 days that the security forces were doing their level best to try and arrest this situation. However, they faced challenges, and the primary challenge was the fact that the abductors were using the kidnapped victims as human shields. So the kinetic approach of just carpet bombing the forest was not taken into consideration, because you don't want to victimize the very people you're trying to rescue. So that complicated the mission, and that's why it took 56 days, is the fact that they had to find strategies, tactics, kinetic, non-kinetic approaches by which they could achieve the objective without harming the hair on the head of a single child. So desperate times call for desperate measures. You begin to see innovation. I mean, I thought that was world class, the notion of going to go and get the family members of these people, taking them to Abuja, making videos of them and sending them to the kidnappers and say, okay, you've got our people, we've got your people as well. And as long as you don't release our people, your people are in jeopardy. I understand that was what actually turned the tide, was the fact that it softened the kidnappers' resolve to see that their own people were in jeopardy. Their loved ones were also in jeopardy. And, at that point, all gloves were off. Whatever strategies you talked about, blocking the network signal, reducing it to 2G, of course, picking up the family members, cutting off the supply network, various things that they did. Most important thing is that they achieved the objective. Everybody came home. Our hearts go out to the family of the one math teacher who the second day of the incident lost his life, which obviously was a pressure tactic by the kidnappers to show we're not joking about this. But I think in the days to come, we'll learn more and more about the unanswered questions that you mentioned earlier, the areas that are still not clear. But I think for now we should just celebrate the fact that we militarily achieved a major milestone. I think it inspires confidence that this battle against banditry and insurgency can be won. Once the political will is there, once the public is all, because we've had other abductions in the past, but this particular one hit home and it became a major public relations concern. So I think part of the things that should be done in the aftermath, in addition to studying how we achieved it, number one is to try to work hard to prevent such things from happening in the future. It shouldn't be after it has happened that we begin to react. We should now probably tighten security in schools, especially the schools in rural areas that are far from urban centers. We should tighten security. Then I think also that what happened to the victims happened as a result of failure of government. So I think government should take responsibility and compensate these people. Number one, what I would love to see is for the school to be renamed after that particular teacher who lost his life. I think the school he was abducted from should be renamed in his honor. I think his family, his dependents.
We had another teacher also lost, there are two teachers who lost their lives from what we're hearing.
Yes, but we haven't been made privy to the second one. Yeah. But the first one that everybody knows, that we actually saw the gory details of the beheading. And one of his offspring or his family members spoke yesterday and said, we're thankful that these people have been released, but somebody's not coming home, and our hearts are pained that we have had to pay the ultimate sacrifice. While we celebrate those who came home, we will forever be pained by the fact that our own didn't come home. So I think they should recognize the fact that government failed this man, and as a result we should idolize him, we should immortalize him, we should compensate his family. And then those who came back, government failed them as well, and they probably may have PTSD for the rest of their lives. So in addition to psychological counseling, therapy, they probably should be given scholarships all the way to university. The students. Government should make up for its lapses, because if government's first role is protection of life and property, and this kind of thing happened, it's a failure of government. So government should take responsibility. It's not enough to just celebrate their return. Government should show that it actually really is sorry that it failed us when we needed it most.
Absolutely, Mr. Kitobi. So beyond using this as a political point to say that its response to this particular security concern has been swift, there should actually be huge compensation, not just to the families, but also to the families of the security operatives who lost their lives. Absolutely. And those who, embarked upon this operation. Yes, speaking of which, the insight also provided by the Vanguard is to the extent that the Oriire parents are saying their children may not return to school. And as we head to the Tribune, further insight, of course, the Tribune is also reporting on the Oriire incident, untold story of Oriire rescue operation, and it says how General Rabe's death influenced tactical change by security agencies. Arrest of their wives forced terrorists to relax hard stance, stopped use of abductees as human shields. And I recall even prior to this time that there were reports that the entire national park was surrounded, to deter any form of escape or counter strategy. Having, explored that particular story, there is one right under the big story on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune that has refused to exit the front pages in the last 2 weeks. Mr. Kitobi, fake, let's go back now to Tribune, fake PFIPC DG Adeyemi to be arraigned Tuesday. It's a page 23 read, I believe, if I'm seeing this correctly, 25 or thereabout. I wonder if you're getting a sense that this particular individual is being unfairly tagged a fake DG and the agency a fake agency against the backdrop of the weight of evidence that is out there, the budget code he was able to secure, the CBN bank accounts, the fact that he got a place in a federal secretariat. Do you think that the investigation has been fully exhausted before we arrive at this fake tag?
I don't think the fake tag is accurate at all, because from all indications, this was a living, breathing, money-crunching organism within the federal bureaucracy. And so to call it fake, I prefer the word unauthorized, because, of course, the presidency has denied any knowledge. So it may have come into existence without going through the normal procedures and protocols, but that doesn't make it fake. You're not fake if you have an office in the federal secretariat. You're not fake if you have an account at the CBN. You can't be fake if you've got a line item in the budget. You can't be fake. Perhaps you were not authorized, you were not set up properly, but you're definitely not fake. Now, the thing that's confusing me about this news report is the fact that there's already an existing case, and there's a court date on July 26. He was already arraigned back in 2025 in November when Femi Gbajabiamila first blew the whistle on the fact that there's a fictitious agency. So this arraignment tomorrow, is it new charges? I understand it's the ICPC. I don't know who the original agency was that's handling the earlier prosecution, but who is now arraigning him? What are the current charges? Are they different from what he was charged from before? Because if you remember, he was on administrative bail. He was even claiming he was in detention at the time when the budget was submitted, so he couldn't have played any role in influencing that line item for that agency in the budget because he was in detention. So he's been charged before. So what this new arraignment tomorrow is all about, I don't quite understand. But I think in terms of Bukola's question about is he being railroaded, is he being unfairly targeted, I think the courts will determine the truth of the matter. I know there's the federal government's position, there's Adeyemi's position. The truth will ultimately come out. But right now, the bets are all off as to who's telling the truth.
It's a delight to be, as always. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you join us, as always. We'll do justice to this. Thank you.
Thank God it's Monday. Good morning, Nigeria.
As a matter of fact, yes, a prof will be joining us. We're talking national politics. We'll be talking national security. We'll be talking about regional security. But let's give you a question of the day whilst we get ready to bring in Professor in a moment. Question of the day: what do you think was the biggest factor in Oriire's safe rescue? Swift security response, community efforts, negotiation, public pressure. So those are the options. We try to bring question of the day at least once or twice a week. So those are your questions. So you can respond via our WhatsApp number. I'm sure it's going to be more legible later. But let's take a break. We'll be back and we'll be joined by a professor who will help us understand what's playing out in our country. Stay with us.